Shalom, shalom, it's the brother Kadash. Want to start off by giving all praises to Yahweh Bahashem, Yahweh Shai Bahashem, Rakakadash. Double honors to the apostles and the elders. Peace, blessings, and honors to all the brothers in this truth. You always got to give your double honors because, that's where we get a lot of our understanding from. The elders, I was talking to a cousin about this too. It's not like they're just making stuff up. They actually had to sit down and go into the definition of words and go into the Hebrew and the different languages and sit down in a library somewhere and really figure out what's the truth behind these scriptures. So we give double honors where it belongs. A lot of brothers come into this truth and they quick to be on that position, but this is an old man's game. You kind of just gotta wait until you become an elder, and then you work your way into that position. So I just wanted to get double honors because I'm about to go into, this is a breakdown from the title Revelations chapter 8. So I want to make sure I put the spirit out there, that I ain't get into Revelation chapter 8 and just break it down myself and come up with, no, it comes from teachings, learnings, and then you go back and you study and you double check and you make sure, and then you ask questions to get edification. So it's deeper than that. But the picture that I have up here, which is a subsonic cruise missile, and then a supersonic air-to-air missile, and then a hypersonic missile. Those ones go up into space and they come back down. And it's very fitting because it gives you more of a vision so you could see what Revelations 8 is talking about. So this is going to be just a Revelation chapter 8 breakdown. Spirit got on me. I'm back in the book of Revelation studying it. And then I said Revelations 8, let me get into that, because Revelation 6 kind of speaks of the same thing, but Revelation 8 goes into more detail. And a lot of times people can't really understand it. But as you see, it says cruise missile, those kind of fly low like towards the water. It's called cruise missile because it's not going that fast. Even though it's still fast, it's kind of cruising, until it makes its way. Actually, you got a torpedo too, which is under the water. Look up Russia. They have a new torpedo missile that could create like a gigantic tsunami and just complete destruction. And of course, the radiation too from a nuclear submarine torpedo being shot off. But the supersonic, the air to air, they sometimes they call them mid range, but they could put nukes in the head. So you see where the body's at, like on the first picture, the subsonic is red, right? Because that's the delivering system. That's the rocket that gets it there. But at the head where you see the gray, that's what holds the nuclear weapons. And it could be 10 nuclear weapons, and it could be 150 nuclear weapons in it. This just gets it to its target, and it hits its target. The delivering system. But then the hypersonic, they said this is future missile. Most likely they already have this technology. They're never telling you the full extent of their technology, which nobody would. It's like playing spades. You're not going to just reveal your hand, you see what I'm saying, in the beginning to your partner, because they ain't going to know how to defeat you. So but this says future missile Mach 5 and above, 1 mile per second. So that's 1 second. So 1 minute, 60 seconds, this thing could go 60 miles. So then when you get to Revelations chapter 18, I believe that is, it says in 1 hour her judgment come, then you will understand that these things could get over here easily. I mean, if you could go 60 miles in 1 minute, then what about a whole hour, which is 60 minutes? What's that, times 10, 600 or something like that? Or maybe I'm kind of off, but I'm not trying to get into that math. But hypersonic, I mean, they could get over here very quick, especially if it's being shot off from uh, a ship, that's close, a ship that's by Puerto Rico, a Russian ship that's by Puerto Rico, or off the coast of Florida or somewhere like that. It's close already, so it could be shot off from a ship and really get here super fast. You know, so let's start in Revelation chapter 8, break it down. This is Revelation chapter 8, verse 1. It says, and when he opened the seventh seal, there was silence in heaven about the space of half an hour. So we're going to break it down and get some precepts, you know. Verse 2, it says, and I saw the seven angels which stood before God, and to them were given seven trumpets. So we got the seventh seal being open. So I'm going to break it down because, like, lately I've been trying to, you know, take my time, not just go over it and kind of fast. Take my time and break it down. So it's the seventh seal being opened, and when the seventh seal, so you had the first all the way leading up to the seventh seal. Now when the seventh seal was open, then you got the seven trumpets. That's why it says, and I saw the seven angels which stood before God, and to them were given seven trumpets. So now we're in the seven trumpets. It says, and another angel came and stood at the altar, having a golden censer, and there was given unto him much incense, that he should offer it with the prayers of all saints upon the golden altar which was before the throne. And the smoke of the incense which came with the prayers of the saints ascended up before God out of the angel's hand. This is important because there's plenty of precepts with us praying, praying to the Lord, and the Lord's hear those prayers. So, that prayer has to go up to the Lord, like it's saying, like, in the smoke of the incense which came up, the prayers of the saints ascended up before God out of the angel hands, because the angels take our prayers and they take it up where it goes through Yahweh Shai. Yahweh Shai is like our mediator between us and Yahweh. So it goes through Yahweh Shai, and then it gets to Yahweh. So those are those prayers going up like incense. Matter of fact, a precept on that, because we're going to jump to this precept a couple times too. Revelation chapter 18. Here, let me see what verse that was. Verse 5, it says, and upon her forehead was a name written, Mystery Babylon the Great, the mother of harlots and abomination of earth. And I saw the woman drunken with the blood of the saints. So there's this woman, the blood of the saints, and reincarnation is the thing. So those same saints, we back today. When we are our forefathers. So our forefathers that was in slavery, we are them reincarnated today. So Mystery Babylon, which is America, it was drunken with the blood of the saints. So what was the saints doing? What was the slaves doing? You heard you remember all those old slave songs, right? So what they would be doing, they'd be praying, come by Yah, carry us home across the river, the Jordan, to the promised land. They sending up prayers. You see what I'm saying? This land has been drunken with the Negro, Hispanic, and Native American blood. It says, and with the blood of the martyrs of Yahweh Shai, and when I saw her, I wondered with great admiration. Because remember, it says, keep the faith even into death. You have to keep the faith even to death. Here, let me see what precept that was. Was that like Revelations 3? Or was that Revelations 2? Yeah, Revelations 2, verse 10. Fear none of these things which thou shalt suffer. Behold, the devil shall cast some of you into prison, that ye may be tried, and ye should have tribulation 10 days. Be thou faithful unto death, and I will give you a crown of life. So those, we know that's the martyrs. So this land has been drunken. And even during this time, they're going to cast some of us is going to have to die for the Lord. But you're going to have that crown of life. So what's happening? Just like if you go back to the story with Cain and Abel, and I know I spend a lot of time on this because I want to break it down. We on verse 5. So you go back to the story with Cain and Abel. What happened when Abel was killed? He went up there and he was kind of bugging the Lord. He was praying. I'll say he was praying to the Lord, about what had happened. So that's the same thing with our prayers. Our prayers, in whenever one of us die, we're going up there to the Lord, saying, how long? Matter of fact, perfect example, King David, now that I'm thinking about it. You could get here in Psalms. It's so many different books and Psalms of examples of the prayers. Oh, damn. Of those prayers being, going up to the Lord. But in Revelations 8, it's kind of giving you detail of how those prayers go up to the Lord, Now, this is Psalms. I want to pull this one, Psalms chapter 3, because I use this prayer a lot, It says, verse 1, it says, Lord, how they increase that trouble me. He praying to the Lord, This is of David, It says, many are they that rise up against me. Many there be which say my soul, there is no help for him in God. And we're saying that same thing today. They kind of like, man, y'all been praying to the Lord. Y'all been saying the Lord's going to come back all this time. Nothing's happened. They saying, look, we ain't got no help. And best believe, you're going to be saying, Lord, how are they increase that trouble me? Especially when they start going to door. Especially when 2nd Esdras 15, 2nd Esdras 16 pop off, a great multitude coming down on you. Verse 3 says, "But thou, O Lord, art a shield for me, my glory, and a lifter up my head. I cried unto the Lord with my voice, and he heard me out of his holy hill," which is the same thing as saying I prayed unto the Lord with his voice, and he heard me out of his holy hill. But how does that prayer get up to the Lord? Well, Revelations 8 just broke it down to you. The angel, the hand of the angel, he brings it up. It says, "I laid me down to sleep, and I wake, for the Lord sustain me. I will not be afraid of thousands of people that have set themselves against me round about. Arise, O Lord, save me, O God, for thou hast smitten all my enemies upon the cheekbone. Thou hast broken the teeth of the ungodly. Salvation belongeth unto the Lord. Thy blessing is upon thy people, which are the Israelites." So, going back to Revelation chapter 8, if I could jump back there, it's the same thing. Those prayers are our prayers, the prayers of the saints. Psalms chapter what's that 50 tells you that the saints is those who made a covenant with the Lord. Our fathers made a covenant with the Lord. During the time of Moses. So that would be the Israelites. Because I think it's Psalm 78 tells you that the heathen, the rest of the nations, they were casted off or whatever. But I'm not going into that right now. Revelation chapter 8. Back at verse 5, it says, "And the angel took a censer and filled it with fire of the altar and cast it into the earth. And there were voices and thunderings and lightnings and earthquakes." So now we get into people like, okay, so what is that? That it was cast into the earth and there's voices and thunderings and lightnings and earthquakes? Well, there's two curses that I personally like to say. Esau two top curses is the chariots, which is the so-called UFOs, and these nuclear weapons, which the Lord is going to use to destroy this place. That's how you get the second death, from the nuclear weapons. So you're going to have this stuff happening at the same time. Because remember, 2nd Esdras chapter 13, if you ain't read it, go read it. And Revelations 12 tells you about a war in the heavens. So what you have is you have your different fighter jets with their missiles, the armies of the earth, and the kings, fighting against the Lord. Now, the Lord is in the world calls it so-called UFOs today, but they're really just chariots of the Lord. Sometimes it calls them clouds, but you would say spaceships, or you would say disc ships, or saucers, or whatever the world used today. So you have to imagine a war going on in the heavens. So these chariots are going to play a big part. Now, usually when it's talking about lightnings and earthquakes and thunderings and voices, it's talking about the chariots. Now look, I'll give you an example. This is 2nd Maccabees chapter 10, so you can see what I'm saying. Verse 29. "But when the battle waxed strong, there appeared unto the enemies from heaven 5 comely men on horses." So is this literally men on horses that could fly? No, it's talking about chariots, or what the world calls UFOs, with bridles of gold, and 2 of them led the Jews, and took Maccabees between them, and covered him on every side with their weapons, and kept him safe, and shot arrows, see, and lightnings, there it goes again, lightnings, against the enemy, so that being confounded with blindness and full of trouble, they were killed. So the chariots are here for a lot of different things. They're going to be protecting the elect on earth the same way they were protecting Judas Maccabees, and they're going to be saving the elect, and they're going to be destroying Esau at the same time, and blowing up cities and blowing up different targets and stuff that they have, and fighting against the jets and defeating them and casting them out the sky. So you have that at the same time. Let me get another account of the lightnings and thunderings and show you that these things come from the chariots. And what it really means, to break it down, is what we call today is like a laser beam, a concentrated laser beam of fire, that destroys. 2nd Esdras chapter 13. I'm not going to read the whole account, but this is talking about the Lord coming back with what the world calls a UFO, which is a gigantic one though. Matter of fact, let me see. It says, verse 5, 2nd Esdras chapter 13, verse 5. "After this I behold, lo, there was gathered together a multitude of men," the armies of the earth, right, "of the number from the 4 winds of the heaven, to subdue the man that came out the sea," came from space. "But I beheld, and lo, he had graved himself a great mountain, and flew upon it." So we seen a great mountain in the sky flying, we would say what? That's a UFO. So, but no, it's a chariot. It's not actually a mountain, but he's trying to explain it to the best of his ability. It was so big that it looked like not just a mountain, but a great mountain. and he seen the man flying upon it. Um, and to jump straight to my point, verse 10, it says, "But only I saw that he sent out his mouth as it had been a blast of fire, see, and out his lips a flaming breath, and out of his tongue he cast out sparks, which is like lightnings, and tempest, and they were all mixed together, the blast of fire, the flaming breath, the great tempest, and fell violence upon the multitude which was prepared to fight, and burnt them up every one, so that upon a sudden numerous multitude nothing was to be perceived but only dust and the smell of smoke. When I saw this, I was afraid." So it's showing you. Matter of fact, that's talking about this same account um in Revelation chapter 8. So you got two things. You got the nuclear weapons that's destroying the earth, and they're going to hit different parts, which we're about to go into that, and it's breaking it down how they're going to destroy different parts. And then you got the chariots too, that's going to be casting lightnings and thunderings and earthquakes and destroying different things too. It's verse 6. It says, "And the seven angels which," back in Revelation chapter 8 verse 6, it says, "And the seven angels which had the seven trumpets prepared themselves to sound. The first angel sounded, and therefore followed hail and fire mingled with blood, and they were cast upon the earth. And the third parts of the trees was burned up, and all green grass was burned up." This is talking about the nuclear weapons. It's hail, because just like hail comes down the sky and it's hitting your cars, it's hitting your house, it's hitting you if you outside, it's hitting trees, it's hitting water. That's how all these nuclear weapons. Now you got to remember, you got the delivery system. If you're looking on your screen, you got the delivery system, but in the head you might have 100 nuclear weapons, 100 nukes in the head. And the delivering system could get it there, explodes in the sky, and then these nukes, all 100, come down and hit and blow things up. Or it could just hit the ground all at once, or it could blow up in the air and cause an EMP attack. So there's so they have these different technology, which the Lord gave them this technology, and the reason why they haven't used it to a major extent yet, because it's for a appointed time. Habakkuk chapter 2 is set for a appointed time, and the Lord's going to take these nuclear weapons over himself, and it's going to be like his army, and he's going to destroy the earth with these nuclear weapons. And Esau and his fighter jets, what they don't understand is that the chariots could control their fighter jets while they're flying it. It could take over their instrument cluster and control their fighter jets. They don't stand a chance, man. It could turn them off. If you do a little bit of history and research, then you will see with some of the so-called UFO encounters, there's been times out there where they reported when they got closer to the so-called UFO, their instrument cluster and everything about their plane completely went off. That's because the chariot disabled them. It was one account where a guy said electric pulse came out of this UFO, and it came directly at him, and next thing he know, he had no power to his fighter jet, and he had to get away from it. So for gliding, because it still flies even though it ain't got power, because it's gliding, it's aerodynamics. And then when he got so far from it, his instrument cluster came back on. So I mean, it's gonna get like that. Now back in Revelation chapter 8, back in verse 7, it says, "And the third part of the trees was burnt up," because the earth is going to be burnt up. That's why it says, like, for example, Isaiah chapter 61. Yep, 61. Our kingdom is going to have to be rebuilt back up. Why? Because the land of Israel, not just the people that's living over there, but the land's going to be destroyed too. And then we're going to have to go back over there and then take the other nations to captivity to build our nations back up. A precept with this, if you jump back to Revelation chapter 7, verse 1. "And after these things I saw four angels standing on the four corners of earth, holding the four winds of earth, that the wind should not blow." The wind is the destruction on earth, nor on the sea, nor on any tree. And this is talking about the same exact thing in Revelation 8. It says, "I saw another angel ascending from the east, having the seal of the living God, and he cried out with a loud voice to the four angels to whom it was given to hurt the earth and the sea, saying, Hurt not the earth, neither the sea, nor the trees, till we had sealed the servants and the God in their forehead. And I heard the number of them which were sealed, and there were sealed 144,000 of all tribes of the children of Israel." So you have to imagine, they kind of like when King David has sinned, and the Lord sending the angels to destroy. So you kind of got to imagine it like that. Like, the angels is ready. They ready. They about to release all destruction and all hell on earth and destroy and start destroying everything. But like it said in Revelation 7, it says, no, don't hurt the earth, the seas, or the trees until the elect has been sealed. So now when you get to Revelations 8, it's just breaking that down pretty much. It's breaking that down more. That's why verse 1 through 4 says, okay, it's talking about the prayers, the incense going up to the Lord. That's the prayers of the saints, prayers of the elect. So then when the elect is sealed, then from verse 5 on down, then you get that destruction that was about to happen in Revelation 7, verse 1 through 3 or whatever, until the angel was stopped. So now the elect has been sealed. Now that destruction is coming down. Now we back into Revelation chapter 7 again. So the third part of the trees was burned up and all the green grass was burnt up. We just read about that in Revelation chapter 7. It was stopped. Now it's happening. If you could kind of follow my drift, you know. So the trees is getting burnt up because these nuclear weapons is going to be hitting suburbs, your creeks, your hills, your mills, your cobblestones, your different suburbs that got nice trees and greenery. These nukes are going to be destroying whole cities and the trees and the forest. And you see what's going on right now in California. They're fire season, and all the trees is getting burnt up, right? And if you look at it from a bird's eye view or from like a helicopter, when you looking down on this fire, it looks like lakes of fire, and it's just burning through the whole forest. So that's what this is talking about, and that's going to come by nuclear weapons. So you can only imagine if a nuclear weapon explodes, right? Or multiple of them. Verse 8, it says, and the second angel sounded, and as it were a great mountain burning with fire was cast into the sea, and the third part of the sea became blood. So now you got nuclear weapons dropping into the sea. Why? Because you got World War III going on at the same time. So you got all this stuff happening at the same time. You got, and what happens when you go to war? So you got fighter jets that's shooting missiles at each other, trying to blow each other out the sky. You got the chariots. You got what's it called? You got the ships, right? The warships. You got all these different warships. You got all these different merchant ships that's being destroyed, you know, and you got all this stuff in the water. So nuclear weapons are going to be aimed at different ships that's going to destroy different parts of the water. And then that's when you get down. Let's keep reading. It says, verse 9, and the third part of the creatures which were in the sea and had life died, and the third part of the ships were destroyed. See? So you got ships in the water that's being destroyed. It says, and the third angel saw, and there fell a great star from heaven, burning as it were a lamp, and fell upon the third part of the rivers, and upon the fountains of the waters. And the name of this star is called Wormwood, and the third part of the waters became wormwood, and many men died of the waters because they were made bitter. Why are they made bitter? Because when that nuclear weapon hits the water, it contaminates it. You get radiation. You get contamination. You get all type of different debris in the water. So now the waters are bitter. You can't drink it. You can't even get in it. It's going to destroy you. You're going to get radiation poisoning. You know, so that's what it means. The waters got bitter. But let's jump back and break that down, right? So, well, Revelation chapter 18 gives you a hit. I mean, it said the ships were destroyed, right? But you could go to Revelation chapter 18 here. Verse 15, and the merchants of these things which were made rich by her shall stand afar off for the fear of her torment, weeping and wailing, saying, alas, alas, that great city that was clothed in fine linen and purple and scarlet and decked with gold and precious stones and pearls, for in 1 hour so great is the riches come to naught. And every shipmaster, so it's going to be a lot of stuff going on at sea, and all the companies of ships and sailors, all the companies of ships and sailors, and as many as trade by the sea stood out for and cried when they saw the smoke of her burning, saying, what city is likened to this great city? That's talking about America, the richest city on earth, the richest country on earth, the number one economy or whatever, or country on earth, right? They're going to be like, this was the greatest city, this was the number one, and she got destroyed. Because what's going to cause the smoke of her burning? Revelations 8, what we're reading. That's why we're breaking it down. Those nuclear weapons. It says, and they cast the dust off their heads and cried, weeping and wailing, saying, alas, alas, that great city where was made rich all that had ships in the sea, by reason of her costiness, for in 1 hour she is made desolate. Because those nuclear weapons is the only thing that's going to get over here fast enough and destroy America fast enough in 1 hour. even especially the hypersonic ones. So it's talking about the same event. This place is going to be destroyed. The different nations are going to shoot nukes on it. It's clearly talking about America as Mystery Babylon, because what other place on earth? I mean, America's in the most debt on earth because it's a nation of consumers, meaning all these other nations are getting rich off America by selling their products. And most of the time, the number one way that you're going to deliver your products is by ship. It's too costly to do it by plane. Railroads can't go over the oceans, so it's by ship, you know. So who fits that prophecy more than America? So when she's destroyed with these different nuclear missiles, they're going to be crying, even at sea. Now, when you get to verse 11, I know people want to say, well, the name of the star is Wormwood. Well, what is that? Why is it making that one different than the rest of the nuclear weapons that's falling on the trees and on the waters and the grass and burning everything? Why is it going into that? Well, Wormwood is just a gigantic nuclear weapon. And there is a difference, and that's why I put this picture right here. See, you got your cruise missiles that's going to be destroying the sea. You got your hypersonic missiles that's going to be destroying the trees and all the green grass and burning up. But then you got something called a hypersonic. And if you look over there into Russia arsenal, they got the Satan 1. They got the Satan 2 that they say could destroy a place as big as Texas. Just one of them. And what these hypersonic missiles do is they go up into space and then they come down out of space and hit a target super fast. And the reason for that is that your defense missiles and, you know, your Iron Dome, things like that can't intercept it. It's too fast. You know, so these go out into space and then they come down and hit their target. And when this come down, it's like wormwood, because it says in the third part of the waters became wormwood, which is really the reason for the name wormwood. Is just saying, look, the waters is going to become wormwood and bitterness. But a gigantic a gigantic missile or whatever, a hypersonic missile could come out and destroy. We know these missiles are going to be used, you know, and they're going to destroy things. And I'm talking about the atomic bombs that hit Japan. I mean, it's not even 10 times. You know, these things is 10 times stronger than that, 100 times, maybe even 1,000 times stronger than the atomic bombs that was dropped on Japan. So you gotta imagine the destruction this thing could do, even farther than what we understand. They high in the true technology, so they might have a hypersonic missile, one missile that could destroy most of America. Just one missile that's hypersonic. We don't know, but we're going to find out, you know. But we know that the earth is going to be destroyed by these missiles, you know. So we kind of have like an outline, like a guide, like, you know, we don't know in detail, like, and the Bible does get in detail, which I'm finna pull some precepts, for matter of fact, since I'm saying that. But we don't have the perfect, we know play by play each hour what's going to happen leading up to the end. No, we have like an outline, so we know, okay, the missiles are going to happen, but we got to wait to see how the Lord's going to play this out and how the Lord's going to do this, because it is the Lord that's going to be behind this. Matter of fact, Revelation chapter 6 talking about the same events. Verse 12, I behold when he had opened the sixth seal. So now we're going back to the sixth seal. And lo, there was a great earthquake, and the sun became black as sackcloth of hair, and the moon became as blood. So I know you say, well, damn, we was just in the seventh seal, and then we got to the seven trumpets. Now you're going back to the sixth seal, and there's more destruction. Yeah, because you can't look at it as like one seal is going to be open, get to these last seals, and then 5 years later another seal is going to be open. No, once these seals start being open, it's going to be back to back. Seal 5, seal 6, seal, it said in 1 hour her destruction should come. Seal 7, you know, so it's going to be opening fast, you know. So it says, and lo, there was a great earthquake, and the sun became black as sackcloth of hair, and the moon became as blood, and the stars of heaven, those nuclear weapons, because these nukes, they go up into the sky and they sparkling, glittering, they look like stars until they come down and hit their target. Fell into earth even as the fig tree cast her untimely figs when she is shaken of a mighty wind. So you could Google on or you could go to YouTube and look up a fig tree casting her untimely figs, and it's going videos will pop up, and it's going to look like a whole bunch of nuclear weapons hitting the ground if you have eyes to see it. And the heaven departed as a scroll when it is rolled together, and every mountain and island removed out her place. So we got what you call mushroom clouds. So when the atomic bombs was dropped on Japan, what came? It was gigantic mushroom clouds. So imagine a hypersonic missile, future missile hitting a target. That mushroom cloud is going to be like a scroll. It's going to be strong enough to move mountains and stuff out the way. It says, "And the kings of the earth, and the great men, and the rich men, and the chief captains, and the mighty men, and every bondman, and every free man hid themselves in the dens, and in the rocks of the mountains, and said unto the mountains and the rocks, Fall on us, hide us from the face of him that sitteth on the throne, and from the wrath of the Lamb, for the great day is the wrath, his wrath is coming, who should be able to stand?" So this is all happening by the way of the Lord, the wrath of the Lamb, right? So they gonna be hiding in what's the dens in the it's talking about bunkers, nuclear bunkers, and different things. They're gonna be trying to hide in them in the dens of the rocks to try to escape this nuclear holocaust, these nuclear weapons dropping out the sky, destroying different places. The natural thing that a man is gonna do is try to get into a bunker to survive it. So then you have all that happening. Then you have Revelation 7, the elect being sealed and saved, happening at the same time. So when these nuclear missiles are coming in, destroying, you got Revelation 7 happening where the elect is being saved. And then almost instantaneous, you got Revelations 8, the seven seal being open, right? And then the seven trumpets going down, and then you just have the second death, just destruction, fire. I mean, the waters, the trees, the elect's been saved, the waters, the trees, and World War III. So when we get back to verse 12, it says, "And the fourth angel sounded, and the third part of the sun was smitten, and the third part of the moon, and the third part of the stars. So as the third part of them was darkened, and the day shone not for the third part of it, and the night likewise," because it's going to be dark, because all that, like we said, that mushroom cloud in Revelation 6, all that debris, all that contamination, that radiation, all that stuff goes in the sky, and it blocks out the sun, it blocks out the moon, it blocks out the stars, and it circulates the earth, and it destroys the crops. It rains down ash. Oh man, this is gonna be all hell breaking loose. Matter of fact, that gets you to here. Let me get a precept for it. Zephaniah chapter 1, verse 14. It says, "The great day of the Lord is near, and hasten greatly." Even the voice, see, so it's gonna happen. Hasten greatly, meaning it's gonna come quickly. So all those things are gonna be happening quickly. "Even the voice of the day of the Lord, the mighty man shall cry there bitterly." The day is a day of wrath. That's why I said it's just going to be all hell breaking loose. A day of trouble and distress, a day of wasteness and desolation, a day of darkness and gloominess, a day of clouds and thick darkness. See, clouds and thick darkness. So it's telling you these clouds is what's going to cause the thick darkness. Where's these clouds going to come from? Nuclear fallout, nuclear mushroom clouds. That's what these clouds are going to come in. It's going to be a very thick darkness. It says, "A day of trumpet and alarm against the fifth cities and against the high towers. And I will bring distress upon men, that they walk like blind men, because they have sinned against the Lord." And this is why this is happening, because this place is wicked. I think that's 1 John 2:15 or something like that. Or maybe second, I think it's 1 John. "And their blood should be poured out as the dust, and their flesh as the dug." Then it says neither silver or gold. So none of your Bitcoin, none of your money that you got stashed up, none of that's going to be able to save you from a nuclear weapon dropping. Of course. That's why in Revelation chapter 6, you have everybody trying to get into bunkers. Because all that other... Watch the movie Greenland. Watch the movie Greenland. This new movie came out either 2020 or 2021, Greenland. Yeah, I think it's called Greenland. Yeah, Greenland. And the theme in that movie is pretty much not nuclear weapons, but it's a whole bunch of meteors coming out the sky. And they even quote the Bible, and the last meteor, the gigantic one, is called Wormwood, that's coming out the sky. But you can see throughout the whole movie, nobody gave a fuck about money. People was offering money up. Why? Because they was trying to get these bracelets in order to get on these planes so they could go to a bunker. That was their only thought, is going to a bunker to survive it. So that's a pretty good movie to give you an insight. But just imagine those meteors being nuclear weapons instead. But Esau don't want to put that out there like that, that it's going to be destroyed by nuclear weapons, because people will start trying to get in the way with the whole politic thing, and you know how people are, man. So here another precept. Then once you understand all that, the perfect precept that goes with Revelation chapter 8 is Malachi chapter 4 verse 1. Now you can really understand Malachi chapter 4. It says, "For behold, the day cometh that shall burn as an oven." So it's burning like an oven because we just went through all this destruction in Revelation chapter 8. It says, "And all the proud, yea, all that do wickedly, shall be stumbled. And the day cometh shall burn them up, saith the Lord hosts, that it shall leave them neither root nor branch." And that goes into all the green grass and all the trees being burnt up from these nuclear missiles coming down. So now you understand, what is it talking about? It keeps talking about fire. The first death was by water. The second death is by fire and brimstone. It's talking about things being burnt up. So you got to put your head together and say, what could cause things to be burnt up like that? Well, it's these nuclear weapons. All these countries got all these nuclear weapons that's just sitting there. You think that they're not going to be used? They're going to be used for a appointed time, and that time's coming soon. Um, let's jump back to Revelation chapter 8 and finish and there. Yeah, let's finish that up. I know I'm going to a lot. This is a long video, but I just wanted to just really break it down. You know, verse 13, it says, "And I beheld and heard an angel flying through the midst of heaven, saying with a loud voice, Woe, woe, woe." So we talking about that destruction, you know, and from World War Three. You got three woes, World War Three. You know, woe, woe, woe. We had World War One, we had World War Two, and all that stuff. World War One and World War Two has all led up to this World War Three. "And the inhabitants of the earth, by reason of the other voices of the trumpet of the three angels which are yet to sound." So you still got three more, 5, 6, and 7. But it's just showing you, look, World War One, World War Two is all leading up to World War Three. You know, because through World War One and World War Two, they advanced their technologies. They advanced their technologies even more. And now World War Three, which is the weapons that you're looking at on your screen that's going to be used in World War Three, is going to make World War Two look like a playground, like a game. Because the stuff that's going to be going on in World War Three, oh man, it's not even the same type of war. You know, World War Two, you had war by helicopters and stuff like that. World War Three is going to be war with the nukes. The nations are going to be shooting nukes rather than sending a helicopter or a jet to drop one. They gonna shoot it out a silo now because they didn't invest their technology. They could, like we said, from a submarine, from a ship at sea, they could shoot it out a silo now. They don't need a jet to fly over and drop an atomic bomb like they did with Japan. They don't need to do that. They could just shoot it from a silo now. So it's a whole different type of war, man. And they then advanced the technology so much that this World War Three, you know, and it's been quoted many times by different Edomites, you know, World War Three would be the end of the whole world. You know, so they seeing that. Let me see. And let me pull this last one just to get your mind to show you even more. Because some people will say, well, how you know this isn't just talking about meteors falling out the sky in different places? Because it kind of gives you the same effect as nukes. Not really though, because with the nukes you get these big mushroom clouds, you get radiation, the bitterness from nuclear weapons more than asteroids and stuff like that, and meteors falling out. So you can see the difference, you know. But Revelation chapter 19 gives you an insight to show you that the kings of the earth and their armies are going to be playing a big part of this. And what do you get from the kings of earth and armies? You get nuclear weapons and nuclear war. And then that's when you get back to Revelation chapter 8, you get the whoa, 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 World War 3. Verse 19, Revelation 19, verse 19. "And I saw the beast and the kings of the earth." So that's kind of giving you an insight. Look, okay, this is going to have something to do with them. "And their armies gathered together to make war against him that sat on the horse and against his army." So they're going to fight against the Lord too. That's why I was saying, like in Revelations 8, the so what the world calls so-called UFOs, but the chariots of Israel are going to play a major play in destroying different places too, as well as the nuclear weapons. But that's when you get Second Esdras chapter 13. They're going to try to subdue the Lord and fight against the Lord when He comes back and make war against Him, and they're going to be destroyed. And not just their jets in the sky, but these chariots are going to destroy ships. Because what's going on right now? They reports that so-called UFOs have been spotted above warships. So these same UFOs that's tracking these warships, they're going to be destroying them when they get the green light. They're going to be destroying bunkers. They're going to be destroying different, you know how the military has different bases around the world where they have their man at getting ready. They're going to be destroying bases. So, I mean, and at the same time, you're going to see the nuclear weapons being shot out, destroying the whole earth. And not just Esau pressing the button to shoot a nuclear weapon, even though they're going to shoot nukes on America to destroy it, but also the other nations. But also the chariots could control these silos and take over these silos and take over their power and shoot a nuke out the silo, and direct the nuke to hit a target. If you do a little research, you will see that with these UFO encounters, there's been reports that they seen UFOs in a whole military base that go offline, and they see a UFO in the sky after that happened, because the Lord shut them down. The Lord has the power to do that. The Lord has the power to control them, and even if you say from a technology standpoint, the Lord has the power to control the men's hearts and make them shoot a nuke out, just like He did with Pharaoh. So they stand no chance. It's like playing chess. Like, it's over. It's checkmate on all ends. So that's been the breakdown of Revelations 8. I took my time with it. Hopefully it's been edifying. With that, I'm going to say salvation to the elect. Shalom.